Okay, well, and again, just to kind of summarize our Cub Scout leader training, just one more time on the organization. So you have the BSA and the CREG who works at the GEC, which is us, and they have the different districts, and then you have the Cub Master and the TLs and the boom, boom, and everybody understand this because it all works out really well because, you got...
Hey, Alex, what are you doing?
Training!
We need to talk, Tyms.
Welcome to this edition of Talking with Tyms. One of the things that's most important is having trained leaders to deliver the program of scouting to our kids. Today I'm joined with Teche, who is our council training chair. We're going to talk a little bit about what it means to be a trained leader, how to become a trained leader, and why it's important. So, Aaron, thank you for joining us here today. How's everything in the training world?
It's moving right along. We're having
Outstanding.
classes, we're training leaders, we're bringing scouting to our youth.
Outstanding. Aaron, we talk about training and scouting, but why is training important to our leaders?
Training's important because it provides that basis in the program. It gives us the basic information we need to do our jobs. It gives us the same language to talk, so when you're talking to you or talking to Nick Rose or anybody else in the council, we speak the same language. It also helps us protect our youth, to keep our youth safe, make sure we make good choices when we go out into the field.
Very important. One of the things for years I've always believed is the most dangerous thing we have in scouting is not aquatics, it's not shooting sports, it's untrained leaders. And so training is a huge important emphasis for our council this year going forward. What makes a trained leader? Because we often hear that, well, you need to be trained. Well, what does that mean?
Well, first and foremost, you need to have your youth protection training. This is the training that we all take to make sure that our youth are protected. We don't get in situations where we're one-on-one with scouts. We're not leaving ourselves vulnerable. We're not leaving our scouts vulnerable. It also points out problems that the scouts might be having so we can report them. Also, we need to have, if you're youth-facing, you need to have hazardous weather training. This is very important. If you're going on an outing, you need to know when to cancel, what weather you need to watch, so you can make sure that you're not putting your scouts in an unsafe situation. Finally, we go into position-specific training, which we can break down if you would like.
Okay. What would some of those specific trainings be?
Okay, well, if you're a Cub Scout leader, the Cub Scout leaders are Cub Master, committee member, den leader, or assistants. You can have assistant Cub Master, assistant den leader. You take the position-specific training for each. So a Cub Master takes about a 3-hour course to learn what it means to be a Cub Master. Same with a den leader, same with a committee member. You can take this either online or in person. The advantage of in-person training is you get a community. You build a community and you can talk to people. You have somebody you can ask questions of later. The online training, you can work at your own schedule. I prefer in-person training because that gives you that community, that gives you a point of reference, someone to talk to. But online training will give you the information you need if you take it diligently.
We just haven't gotten to those Star Trek kind of computers yet where we can ask the computer what we want to know. So again, those in-person trainings are vitally important. I guess one of the questions is, where do they find out more information on how to get trained, or where do they find?
So we have a list of trainings on our council website. All the in-person trainings will be listed on our council website, and if you look at the thing below, there will be a link to that page from our council website. We'll have a schedule, have locations, have registration information. That way you can take the training. It'll also have a link to the online training should you not be able to take that.
Okay. Well, and then the other thing we also want to look at is in a future episode Talking with Tyms, we'll talk about more advanced trainings like Wood Badge and University of Scouting, all these other really cool things that are out here. But our goal today is to get our new leaders trained so that we can make sure we deliver the best possible program. One of the things we find when we lose scouts, especially in Cub Scouting, there's a common denominator to why we lose these brand new Cub Scouts. The leaders aren't trained. And the leaders get frustrated because they don't know where to go and how to do a meeting, and we lose the kids. So training is vitally important, and it's going to be an emphasis as we go forward. Basically, we're excited about you being leaders and doing the things we do for kids because it changes lives for the better. Aaron, anything else I forgot to talk about related to training?
We did not talk about Scouts BSA.
Oh my gosh, how could we possibly forget that?
So we have Cub Scouts, and Cub Scouts are very important. That's where we start. But we have Scouts BSA, which is our middle school program. And if you're going to be a trained leader in Scouts BSA, if you're youth facing, that's Scoutmaster and Assistant Scoutmaster, you need hazardous weather, youth protection, and you need the introduction to outdoor leader skills, which is the outdoor program. It gives you the program that you're going to be working on with your youth, and you need Scoutmaster specific training. You can also have committee member training if you're a committee member. This is what you need to be trained.
Okay, vitally important. Okay, well, what I want to do is, Aaron, thank you very much for being here, and thank you for being our council training chair. You're helping to change the lives of kids by making sure they have trained leaders and doing really cool stuff and all the things we promised them. Okay. So thank you very much for all you and your team do for scouting. I want to thank you for joining us for Talking with Tyms, and we'll see you down the scouting trail.